Okay.
Hi there. My name is Bill Beckford, and I am the founder of the One Problem podcast. You know, there are tons of problems in the world, but we're not going to get overwhelmed. We're going to tackle them one problem at a time. As is the case, most of my guests, I have some prior relationship with them, and that's the case this time around. I've known Carla for a couple of years now. So Carla Leon is the president and CEO of Just Like Family Home Care. Over to you, Carla.
Thank you for having me. This is exciting. As soon as you asked me what's the one problem, right away, I couldn't help myself. I jumped to capitalism. Go big, right? And so lots of people think that capitalism is good, or they think it's bad or ugly. And really what I like to start with is, what was it designed for? It was really meant about transferring value between people so everyone could do better. Unfortunately, the challenge is that that's not necessarily how it's used. I've actually spoken to one entrepreneur who said to me, capitalism is the legal way for me to take money from other people. So it becomes this whole moral and ethical dilemma. But why is that happening? So for capitalism, when I try and come up with solutions, I start with the problem, and it's called falling in love with the problem and fully understanding the problem so we have the best solution for that. With capitalism, I really did some research about why people think it's so bad and why is it so bad. Well, it's pretty easy. The 1%, we have the great divide, the inequality. And I think with COVID, everyone has seen that the great divide is getting even bigger. There used to be a middle class. I don't think there's too many arguments right now that the middle class is being eroded. So the great divide is not only big, but getting bigger. Then there's the other side of it, is power and control. And so basically, people are using capitalism to keep power and to gain power. And really, when I've talked to people about like what changes people on the moral and ethical dilemma of using capitalism inappropriately, is people change for two reasons. They change because of age, and they change because of money. So again, it's rooted in this quantifiable part of capitalism. So power and control is another big problem. Another problem in capitalism is basically the lack of compassion and understanding between people. It basically creates that divide, and people don't understand each other. It dehumanizes us. Think about the last time you've seen a Mercedes-Benz pulled over by a cop. Kind of makes you smile, right? You're kind of happy that the person in the Merc got pulled over, right? And everyone was literally walking around them and just letting them have a seizure. We had to call 911, we got them water, we did those things, but everyone dehumanized them. So it doesn't matter what side you are on this, it's still hurting you. This lack of compassion and understanding creates fear, the fear of the single mother to put food on the table, and yet on the other side, the fear of losing what they have. And this is all isolation. So the economic abuse of women and just this isolation. So capitalism has this huge ripple effect. And so when I think about all these secondary issues, what is the root cause of this problem? It's the duality of capitalism. It's the fact that it's based on quantifying. It's based on numbers. It's based on what we're valuing as money and not people. So when you really start to get into the root cause of capitalism as a problem, you flip these problems into, here we go, the solution. So the great divide, why is there so much duality in this? Why is it a win-lose situation? Couldn't we actually create a win-win situation? At Just Like Family, that's how we're thinking about it. We're thinking, how do you have living wages for our caregivers? How are we ensuring everyone within the ecosystem? So does capitalism have to be a win-lose? Could there be a win-win? What about co-ops? What about community ownership? What does it look like to think differently there? Power and control. So a lot of this is tied up in language. Within finance and capitalism, basically there's all this language that is shutting people out. When I actually just bought Just Like Family and became the CEO and president of it, I had to learn everything about corporate finance in order to do this. And there was all this language that was pretty simple that had all these barriers to it. And that was actually going to be my problem at one point. So when you break this down and you make it a win-win instead of the duality, well, now you have conversations. If it's a win-win, you have more compassion and understanding for everyone. It gets rid of fear on both sides. It gets rid of the isolation and all those secondary problems. So if our root problem is the duality of capitalism, the root solution is actually valuing something different, creating the win-win. So capitalism as a problem, actually becomes capitalism as a solution, as long as we're valuing people first. Back to you.
Thank you so much. It's always gratifying to bring on people because you never know how they will tackle a problem and the kind of solution they come up with. So this is just a way for us to learn from each other. So thank you so much, Carla.